Hello, and welcome back to the Adventures in Advising podcast. This is Matt Markin, and it's episode 189. And if you're just now rejoining the podcast, you may not know, or maybe you do, the Adventures in Advising podcast is ending with episode 200 in January 2027. But we have plenty of amazing interviews that we are doing. And today we have another one. And it's actually a returning guest. So let's welcome back to the podcast. And that is Dr. Xiao Yuan. How's it been? How are you?
Hi, Matt. Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, it has been, since 2022, episode 50 that you were on the podcast. Now, back then, when I was doing the podcast, I was having multiple guests on, multiple interviews on an episode. But we got to reconnect recently through LinkedIn, had a chat on Zoom, and it was like, I think we need to have you back on the podcast to see what's been going on in your life since 2022. And I guess that's going to be that first question I'm going to throw to you. Since being on the podcast, what's new?
Thank you, Matt. It's been amazing for the past 4 years, really. You know, the talk in 2022, since then, my journey has been completely unexpected. But looking back, I can see a connection between every stage. After the international program at Niagara University was canceled, I tried very hard to remain in higher education. I applied for probably more than 1,000 jobs across the United States, but received only one interview. Then I received an email from a California-based recruiting company or agency called IntelliPro, asking whether I want to become a recruiter. You know, at that time, I did not even fully understand what a recruiter did. I initially wondered whether it meant recruiting students, but accepted the interview, joined the company, and entered an entirely different professional field. You know, as a recruiter, it opened me like new life, new horizon. I began working with candidates, many of them immigrants, international professionals whose employment was connected not only to income, but also to immigration status, family stability, and whether they could continue building a life in the United States. In some ways, I was still advising people. The setting had changed, but the human questions were very similar, you know. Then one day, HR representative of a rapidly growing last mile delivery company found me through LinkedIn. My team successfully recruited 3 employees for that company. Through that relationship, I learned that the company needed service providers in Los Angeles. I connected them with 2 people I trusted and participated as an investment partner. So the business performed well since then, but after about 6 months, the 2 operating partners developed serious disagreement. I eventually separated from that partnership and established a manager-managed LLC while remaining a passive investor. One of the most meaningful parts of that transition was the manager who joined me. So the LLC, as it's manager managed, right? So that manager totally changed my whole process. We had known each other as friends, and I recognized that she was capable and determined and eager to learn and grow. She became the manager of the company and asked me to mentor her as an advisor, well, mentors at the same time. She worked extremely hard, and the business gradually expanded into multiple markets. So through that experience, I was able to observe the last mile delivery industry from the inside, I saw how much convenience consumers receive. But I also saw the people behind the convenience, the drivers, working in extremely weather, dealing with accidents, theft, dogs, unfamiliar neighborhoods, and enormous pressure to complete everyday delivery. So since 2022, I have moved from higher education to recruiting, and from recruiting to investment in last mile industry, and from logistics to storytelling and education. So from the surface, this may look like completely different worlds. But in every stage, I have been asking the same questions, like who is being overlooked? Where do people find belonging? And how can education help people recognize their own value?
Yeah, and I know definitely I want to ask more about like the belonging. It's just amazing that would never have guessed after being on the podcast in 2022 that this is where your life would be.
Right.
But it's nice to see like the transferability of being in higher ed and how you've been able to use that and adapt to the different career paths that you've been on since then. I kind of want to go back to, when you were applying to all these higher ed positions and then eventually got the notification about maybe possibly being a recruiter. Was it at that point that you began thinking, maybe I should try this and be on this different career path that'll take me on this different direction? Was there anything that was like, what was ultimately, what made you decide that maybe it's time that I try something new out of higher ed?
To be honest, I did not make one clear decision myself at all. In many ways, the first part of that decision was just made for me, I would say. I was working as an adjunct ESL teacher in the international program at Niagara University. That was 2021. I graduated from Niagara 2021 in May. And then I stayed at Niagara to teach for the first semester. That was right after COVID. And COVID caused international enrollment to decline very badly, and the program was canceled in January 2022. I was like left nowhere. I was teaching, I was doing multiple jobs, and while all of a sudden this program closed, where should I go? I have nothing else to do, but I have no choice. What is put on my plate? I got to do it anyways, right? So even then, I was not ready to imagine life outside higher education. I had spent so many years teaching, completed my PhD in leadership and policy, and believed that this was where my experience belonged. So I tried very hard to stay. I applied, as I said, more than probably 1,000 positions. I had received only one interview, to be honest with you. And this position was at a university in Grenada, offshore. So it was offshore university originally from the US. It was simply too far from my family and the life we had established here. So if someone from Grenada is listening to this podcast, and I really want to say, I really want to apologize for that panelist. That was just weird. The reason I made is I feel I'm afraid of the volcano. I'm afraid of the volcanoes in Grenada. That was really embarrassing. Even now, I think about it. It's really embarrassing for me to say that unprofessionally. So I have never decided that I want to leave higher education. It's just luck, or God has planned already. I'm not sure.
What have you learned about yourself, through this transition? Because I would imagine the nervousness and anxiety. And then, you had this 180 that happened. You just had to figure it out. But over these last like 4 years, what have you learned about yourself through these changes?
I've learned that my identity is much larger than a job. No matter the job is in higher education or in industry. So when my position ended, I initially felt that I had lost the place where my education and experience were supposed to. I had spent so many years becoming a teacher and a scholar, and that I had unconsciously connected my value to having a position within the higher education. But the transition showed me that the most important parts of who I am did not disappear when I left the university. I was still curious. I was still an educator. I still cared about people, recognized the potential in them, and wanted to help them grow. So this is just me. No matter I'm doing the position in higher education or doing something else. So I also learned I'm more willing to begin again than I had realized. When I entered recruiting, I did not even fully understand the profession. When I entered last mile delivery again, I knew very, very little about the industry. So having a PhD did not mean that I already had the answers. It's just the beginning when you know how to do research as a PhD, right? It means nothing. So I had to become a beginner again for different industries, listen carefully and learn from recruiters, managers, drivers, and people whose knowledge came from experience rather than academic credentials. One of the clearest example was the manager, as I mentioned, who joined my company. We had known each other as friends, but I saw leadership potential in her. And for these past 4 years, we were being mentor, mentor and mentee relationship. I gave her the opportunity to manage the company, and she asked me to become her mentor. And I always teach her that management and leadership, they are two things. So if you just think as a manager, you cannot be a good leader. So I would say this is the connection I found. No matter what industry we're in, what job we're doing, it's just what is our call in life, like deep call from your heart.
Yeah, and you've been talking about like the transition and everything you've learned. You've talked about how your work in higher ed, you've been able to adapt that outside of higher ed. I'm curious though, being outside of higher ed, has that changed how you view higher education now? Does it change how you interpret your research, your scholarly research, anything like that?
I mean, after I am outside higher education, I began to see that belonging. That's what I was research about. I began to see that belonging is not only an emotional or academic experience. It is also structure and material. It can be connected to employment, immigration status, language, financial stability, family responsibility, and whether a person is visible to the system that depends on their neighbor, I mean, the drivers. I saw the same thing in academia when I researched about international students. I say the same thing in last mile delivery. Many drivers are immigrants, gig drivers, gig workers, or people navigating major transitions. That may be essential to the efficiency of modern commerce, but they are often almost invisible. Consumers I think every one of us is consumer of today's e-commerce era, right? Consumers see a package appear at the door, then they rarely see the person who drove through snow or faced an aggressive dog or entered an unfamiliar neighborhood or worked under intense pressure to deliver it. So that experience changed how I interpret my own research. I now understand belonging not simply as a feeling welcomed. Belonging is also about being seen, having your contribution recognized, understanding that the rules of the system and having some voice within that system.
Well, let's talk more about that. Because your dissertation examined identity and belonging in higher ed. Can you talk a little bit more and go a little bit more in depth about your dissertation and maybe how you came about researching that and anything else you want to share about it?
I was always passionate about international students, even when I was in China, because I taught all the students who were potential international students, and that's why I became an international student myself. So during this research for my dissertation, I did a quantitative research. I used the same model to investigate the relationship um, between academic advisors' impact to international students' sense of belonging. That's what I did. After I finished the dissertation, I put my findings into publication with two other professors, and that was called the impact of academic advising on international students' sense of belonging, and that was published on the Journal of International Students in 2022 or 3. From there, after this publication, and I changed my career path, I never looked back. I never go back. I thought that's the end of my academia life, after recently, I told you last week, last time, just after recently, I finished writing this book about about journey to you. I I'm just curious. Hey, how was my research there at that time? I opened my Google Scholar and I was astonished. Like that research, that dissertation publication was cited more than 40 times. I was like, what? Like sense of belonging was not, I feel it's not something big. But when I go through all of these citations, I was even more astonished. Many of those citations are from top tier journal articles. I mean, I think the professor from NYU and Princeton, they had a publication, and there was another and cited me, and another publication was from I forgot the name, Dr. Demo or Dom, I forgot the name, and she is a researcher in injustice, and she cited me like 4 times. I was like, what? And gave a lot of details. And her book was, I think the name of the book is Finding Belonging or Building Belonging. So she was doing research about belonging from the field of justice, from law, and her field are also involved about immigrants, about legal education, and so on. So you can see, no matter what we are doing, what position we are in, there are a lot of things that can be connected. And sense of belonging can be from the field of academic advising, can be from injustice, and can also from a driver, a delivery driver. Isn't that crazy?
It
So
is. How does it feel though, knowing that, you've been cited over 40 times? How does it feel knowing that your work that you did is impacting, yeah, not just academic advising, not just higher ed, but all these different areas?
I feel happy. I feel excited. I mean, finding the work is valued by the academia. How good is that? Yeah.
And you also mentioned, writing A-bao. So tell me more about the idea of that coming to light, all that whole process.
So this book is called A-bao's Journey to You. A means one. Bao in Chinese means package. So a bao means a package. So the name of this title is A Package's Journey to You, the untold story behind each package. So that makes more sense if you just say a bao. But I made it a bao because I'm talking about the packages from China. So I use the word, and also a bao. It's very popular, like a very interesting name for an IP. And I developed an IP, made it very funny. I can show you on the website actually later. So the idea came from the years I spent observing the last mile delivery industry. Almost every day, I heard stories that consumers would never imagine. Drivers become trapped in snow, or beaten by dogs, or had vehicles stolen, entered dangerous neighborhood, or damaged the property by accident, or worked for hours in extreme weather. Some instances were frightening, some were heartbreaking, and some were so absurd that they almost became dark comedy. From the consumer's perspective, the entire journey is reduced to a very simple notification. Your package has been delivered. When you receive the package, your package is delivered. That's it. That contrast stayed with me. I mean, a consumer sees a box at the front door, but behind that box, they may be a warehouse worker, a dispatcher, a manager, or several drivers, multiple mistakes, and the entire chain of human effort. I began thinking, what if the package could tell us everything it had seen? So that's how I want to put it into a book. I have been thinking and thinking, and I just feel like I received this call from God or nature that I have this social responsibility to tell this story. Because from this last mile delivery, I can be very, very proud to say that probably people with my background, I'm the unique. I'm the only one. Most of people who are doing this field, they are labor workers. They don't have this education or this time to think about how these things are connected and how to improve. So I feel this is my responsibility to dig out and present what I heard and seen to the society, to the consumers, and to make the driver's voice be heard.
Now, like your dissertation, really written for scholars, your book reaches a more broader audience. How is it kind of translating those ideas, from when you were, scholarly researcher, kind of having certain individuals that that were probably going to be reviewing it, to now kind of having this out to the world? Was there any challenges with kind of switching gears?
I I think I did not translate my dissertation directly into a book. I did not begin by replacing academic terminologies with simple words. What I translate was the way of seeing. In academic writing, we might discuss belonging as a theoretical construct. In A-bao's story, belonging becomes something the reader can see and feel. A-bao is a package moving through a system, carrying a label, being sorted, redirected, delayed, misunderstood, and constantly trying to find the place where it is supposed to belong. I mean, to the consumer, right? It belongs to the consumer. The journey is literal for a package, but it is also familiar to many people, especially immigrants, international students, gig workers, and anyone who has entered a system whose rules they do not fully understand. So I also translated the systems into characters and consequences. Instead of explaining platform power only through theory, I show how algorithm decision affect a driver's route, time, safety, and income. Instead of writing abstractly about invisible labor, I allow readers to follow the people who sort, dispatch, transport, and deliver the package. So, in that sense, the dissertation and the book are doing related work in different language. The dissertation develops an argument for scholars. This A-bao book creates an experience for everyone else.
Is there anything that you feel like an academic advisor or anyone in higher ed can learn from, whether it's the book, dissertation, your journey, anything, any tips you think an advisor could benefit from?
What is education? What is the purpose of education? From the writing and thinking and all these years of research and learning, I feel like the purpose of education is to inspire a person and inspire the person to find themselves, either through education or through life experience. It does not, the form of education does not need to be the same, but purpose and the final goal is the same, is to help people to find themselves, right? So academic writing trained me to be careful, precise, and evidence-based. While it taught me to support an argument, define a concept, and it anticipates criticism. I still value this discipline very deeply, but academic writing also requires the writer to maintain a certain distance. The scholar is often expected to analyze an experience without becoming too visible within it. While my book of about the story, I gave myself permission to move closer, to use emotion, imagination, humor, frustration, and compassion. Giving this package a voice, also helped me find my own. A-bao could ask questions that people inside the system may be afraid to ask. Why is speed valued more than safety? Why are the people performing essential work so often invisible? Why does a consumer know exactly where a package is, but almost nothing about the person delivering it? So humor was essential. In academia, I would have analyzed the system directly. Through A-bao, I could reveal the same contradictions with Black humor. The reader might laugh first and then realize that the situation is not actually funny for the driver living through it. So overall, the book helped me to find a voice outside academia, but it did not replace my academic voice. It made that voice more human, more accessible, and perhaps more courageous.
I love that. And honestly, I wish that there was more of the human voice in academia, and maybe one day that'll happen. But what's next for A-bao?
It's not decided. I have no idea. I just feel like there are a lot of things that I want to do. I'm using A-bao. There are different domains I could develop. I'm developing music. Like I try, with the AI, it's very easy to make some songs. I'm writing some lyrics from the book, and I'm writing like every package has a story. This is one song I made. And another thing is the people behind each package. And this is music is one thing. Games. I'm trying to use A-bao and use the SOP from the industry to develop a game that could help the drivers, not just for the training, but also in this whole design of the game or training. I kind of involved belonging into the field, kind of train them and make them think what is a good driver. Is fast your fastest driver, so you're a good driver, or you are a safe driver, so you're a good driver. So just let them think. And also I'm trying to develop some children book into different stage. Maybe I have this structure I have not yet fully put together, but I have books from 0 to 3, or I mean preschool, and pupils, and maybe comic books for teenagers. And in this book series, I want to express some ideas such as caring about the people behind the work, and social care about the environment, think about the packages you're buying every day. Can you buy less? So many packages we receive, so many wraps we receive. Where did these wraps go? Who is absorbing it at the end? Isn't the environment? How can the environment take care of all of these wraps and garbage? And also, I want to have some public like awareness of the new era. This e-commerce is e-commerce age today. Are we prepared? Are we ready? See, all these mailbox, all USPS mailbox, this is the law. This is a federal property. And for except the mails, other things cannot go into the mailbox. But we cannot use the mailbox. Then since today so many people are using need to get a package, can we have a similar thing which is not a mailbox but package box? Or when a consumer orders some package, will they know they should have their address correct? Should they know that they need to have the house number presented, can be shown, not make others work so difficult to just find their house number. So, a lot of things I'm thinking of, and I hope with A-bao, I could do something to the society. I can make this invisible visible, and I can make the society, the children, to think. So this is just a broad idea of education, and this is what I'm passionate about, and I want to help. I want to contribute to what I've seen.
No, and a lot of great ideas, and looking forward to seeing a lot of them come to fruition. But I really have to say thank you so much for reconnecting. I'm glad that we got to chat and got to have this opportunity today to have you back on the podcast. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm very happy to be reconnected and to share the growth I had in the past 4 years. And I hope this podcast can be useful to anyone who heard about it, who listened to it, and particularly for academic advisors. I hope they would be encouraged from my story, and when they are advising students, they would think more of the purpose of why, what is education, and why, how to make what we're doing more efficient, and to reach to the bigger goal.
Awesome. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.